Thanks for staying with us on the conversation. Earlier on, we dealt with issues in Burkina Faso where a former president, Blaise Compaoré, who has been sentenced into life imprisonment for complicity in the murder of the revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara, has returned back to his home soil 8 years after being on exile and in Ivory Coast. And our panelists discussing the reasons why the junta shouldn't have brought him back to Burkina Faso. Well, right now we discuss situations in Nigeria as the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has announced a former federal lawmaker, Senator Yusuf Datti Baba-Ahmed, as his running mate in the 2023 general elections. He made the announcement on Friday at an event in Abuja, saying the decision followed a series of consultations with stakeholders. Baba-Ahmed represented Zaria in the House of Representatives from 2003 to 2007 and later Kaduna North Senatorial District between 2011 and 2012. Now, join us live for this conversation. We have Agboeze Ugochukwu. He's a lawyer and human rights advocate based in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, to start with, first off, a lot of people have been waiting for Peter Obi's running mate, and right now we're seeing Senator Yusuf Datti Baba-Ahmed as his running mate. What more do we know about him?
Well, thank you so much for having me once again. I think since yesterday, since the revelation of Peter Obi's running mate has gone viral, a lot has actually been brought to bed regarding his candidacy. Things that people didn't know about him prior before now has started circulating across social media. So from my own little research, because he hasn't really been an active politician until recently, the birth of Peter Obi's presidential ambition really gave life and hope to a lot of Nigerians, especially the youth. So the youth are particularly interested in this year's election. So his candidacy, his emergence as Peter Obi's running mate has had a lot of us to, to dig deep into the kind of person he is, his political activeness and awareness. And then from our little knowledge and understanding, his CV is quite remarkable. His CV is quite remarkable. We are made to understand that he actually was part of the legislators that took active force, in stopping the third presidential ambition of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. That alone is quite a CV for such a person. And then outside his political awareness, research has it that he also has one of the biggest hospitals in Africa, the Base Hospital. And then he also have quite a good educational background, and his university, Base University, is such that leaves a lot to be admired about his candidacy. So a lot has been circulating, and I can say for a fact that Nigerian youths, who are the major pioneers of PDP's candidacy, are excited about the prospect of the two political forces.
Okay, Barrister Ugochukwu, looking at the profile of Baba-Ahmed, a lot of people have seen Peter Obi, as you rightly said, that the youth in Nigeria are happy with the emergence of Peter Obi, and he's more like a third force compared to the ruling party, the APC, the PDP, and then we have the Labour Party with Peter Obi. Now, with Senator Baba-Ahmed as running mate, does it give Peter Obi the much-needed advantage he needs for the 2023 elections?
Well, it does. It does give him the much-needed advantage, because if we listen to his political statements, his statements are issue-based. He knows the issues. He's attacking the issues. He has granted several media interviews, and he has been placed on the spot to answer to questions. So he knows his onions. He knows what he's fighting for. He knows the kind of persons that he needs, to sequestrate from the old guards that we've had over the past, running the affairs of the country. So just like he stated last week, that his choice, he's looking for someone who is as vibrant, who is as youthful, who would be able to continue from his administration if he eventually gets into power. So regardless of the choice or whether or not he can compete, it's coming from a fact that Nigerians are tired of these two political big parties. Nigerians are tired. It's going to be such that if you are not tired, you have another option. If you are tired of these two political giants that have been, mishandling the affairs of this country, you have a competent in a third force. So if you like the way the things, the administration, the governance of the country has been run since we ascended into democracy, you have the opportunity to stick with them. But if you are tired of the maladministration, if you are tired of the bad governance, Peter Obi has offered us a choice to make. Nigerians are tired. Nigerian youth, most especially, are frustrated. And this is a competent thought choice, a competent, force that gives us the freedom to depart from the old ways, from the old relics of these political or assumed big forces in the political space. So it gives Nigerians the opportunity. It gives Nigerians the opportunity to depart from the old ways of doing things. So it's an interesting third choice to have, really.
Interesting one indeed. Now, prior to this, there were speculations an alliance with the presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwakwanso. Now, what exactly went wrong?
This is my own opinion. But I'm sure that it's shared by millions of Nigerians as such. We were expecting a coalition, with NNPP presidential candidate Kwakwanso, but until recently, as last week that he went on national television to debase, the political structure of the southern Nigerians and, the fact that they are ill-prepared. He made a lot of unprintable assertions, which I'm sure will hurt his campaign, his own political campaign. So assertions have it that you cannot win an election in this country without the support of either the North and the South. And the fact that he had to elect, due to, I don't know whether I'll call it pride or due to his own political, foresight, he thinks that he cannot play a second fiddle to the candidacy of, Mr. Peter Obi. It's such a sad disappointment to a lot of persons that have been looking forward to such coalition. But then, just like I believe in the movement that regardless, Peter Obi alone is a structure. Peter Obi alone is the people's structure. And as such, we cannot, because of the disappointment, met or dished out by Kwakwanso, relax or go back to, no, we keep moving. Peter Obi is a force, actually. So with or without the coalition, the movement will not be stopped. The movement will continue to, to go ahead, to forge ahead. So we are not debased. We continue to forge ahead.
Okay, now in picking running mates, a lot of times we look at the strength of the running mates. Now, according to postulations in Nigeria's political arithmetic, Kwakwanso's base, Kano State, has more like a very high or the highest number of local governments and votes of any state. Now, what effect will this failed alliance have on their presidential ambitions, both for Kwakwanso and Peter Obi?
Okay, just like I just stated, you cannot win elections in Nigeria on the strength of a particular state. Regardless of the popularity of such states, you need the coalition of the South, you need the coalition of the North. So regardless of the population density of Kano State, they alone cannot determine who is the next president of Nigeria. And then, because of the kind of political campaign being run by Mr. Peter Obi, it is issue-based. If you are tired of, the way things have been going on in this country, join the movement. It doesn't matter your political, affiliations in the past. If you are tired of the bad governance, if you are tired of the mismanagement, if you are tired of, the I don't know the words to qualify, what has been going through for the past under the leadership, under the stewardship of PDP and APC. But then Peter Obi's campaign is issue-based. If you are tired of this old release, just join the wagon. It doesn't matter if you are from Kano, if you are from Anambra, it doesn't really matter. But then Peter Obi has presented us an option to depart from the past and to move the country towards the new Nigeria that we youth actually pray for. And that is the choice that Mr. Peter Obi has presented for us, regardless of your state, regardless of your origin, regardless of your party affiliations. If you are tired of the misrule, you can join the competent political third force, as said.
Okay, competent third force. Away from the third force now, we also have the PDP and the APC. Now, there's been a tentative running mate, and there are speculations of prospective running mates. The ruling party's presidential candidate is yet to pick a substantive running mate. What do you think are the likely issues going on with the All Progressives Congress?
Okay, I've been doing a lot of political understudy for a while, and I think, in my own honest opinion, Jagaban, who is someone that admires his style of politics, is trying to be careful with his political choices this particular time, because Nigeria, as we know it, is a religious country. It's a religious country. It's not just a country that is based on politics. You have to take a lot of things into consideration. So Jagaban is going to have to be very, very careful with his choice of running mate. I think part of his consideration is the issue of whether he's going to fly a Muslim ticket or a Muslim Christian ticket. I also think that they are trying to play safe. Ojo Zokalo once made a statement that they have to present their best options. Tinubu is a southerner who is a Muslim, and then as such, he is on the weaker part of, the northern divide. So for them to competently present their best options at the presidential level, they have to send in their best of representatives. And then that would leave them with the option of flying a Muslim ticket, which ultimately will affect the kind of support they will have garnered from the southern or Christian-based politicians. So I think this is part of the consideration that is causing a delay as to their choice of VP. Jagaban is an experienced politician, and I'm sure that these issues are some issues that he ought to take into consideration before he comes up with his final choice. So I think the issue of whether he's going to fly a Muslim ticket or a Muslim Christian ticket is part of the issue that is stalling the entire process at the moment.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Agboeze Ugochukwu, for joining us on this conversation. Of course, we do hope for the best for all the presidential candidates. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
And this is where we'll draw the curtains of today's edition of The Conversation. Earlier on, we discussed situations in Burkina Faso, where the former president, Blaise Compaoré, who has been sentenced to life imprisonment, is presently back in his home soil after being 8 years in exile in Ivory Coast. And this was ordered by the Lieutenant Colonel of the military junta in charge of Burkina Faso, Damiba Henry Sandogo, who brought about the ex-presidents to discuss security matters. And right now, we dealt with situations in Nigeria, where the Labour Party has unveiled a vice presidential candidate in the person of Baba-Ahmed Yusuf, a senator in the Nigerian Republic. Thank you so much for joining us on The Conversation. To join us again next week for another edition of The Conversation, I am Rita Omodia.